welcome to another Website Depot podcast. As ever, I'm your host, Greg Benevent, and today I'm very happy to be joined by the podcast team at Free of Fear and Full of Joy. And there they are. Hi, if you could introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about it, about who you are and what you do.
I am Jahari Williams, and I am a lot of things. I am a former fashion consultant and worked for several fashion brands over the last 25 years. And then took some time off and just focused on my family and kids. And I have, kids and stepkids and grandkids. And, so I run a small family corporation of people. And
Wow.
Through all of that experience and, the ups and downs of life and things that I didn't expect to happen during my life, I have shared them and combined all of those experiences into a mantra that became Free of Fear, Full of Joy. And it turned into something that when I walked into the room, people would start chanting it. So I was like, you know what? I want to take this to a broader audience. And I need someone to help me convey that message. And so and it's
Sarah Manuel. Hello. Very nice to meet you all. I am Jahari's podcast mate, as well as a small business owner and public servant and crafter and / generation goer.
Well, that was going to be my next question. You already beat me to it.
I'm going with all the generations.
Okay.
Yeah, we would consider me age fluid. Yes.
Okay. It's all right. So you are okay. So if you're watching this, you're already getting some feel to the appeal of this podcast as to who it would appeal to, which is people across many different generations. I know, and just the three of us speaking off the air is about how I think that was part of what kind of I think drew you to kind of getting involved in part of what drew you to getting involved in this podcast project, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have amazing chemistry. Half the time we don't even catch all of our amazing moments in the podcast
because it's natural.
It just happens. It's like magic. It's very, very interesting. And our conversations are in depth and sometimes very abstract and very, silly, but they always circle back around to what we were initially talking about. So, if you enjoy something that's conversational and also very upbeat and positive and, strong opinions with good intentions. That's another one of our little sayings, along with Free of Fear and Joy. Then you will truly identify with us and want to subscribe and keep watching. We are a lot of things. And I think our shared story of having very different experiences of, life-altering experiences that spun us in directions that we never thought that we would end up in. And we talk about that in our very first podcast. And it's, we're just bearing our souls. We're telling people what happened and how I got here. Because, when you hear it, you're like, okay, how did you get from here to here and end up not being
elsewhere?
Or crazy or just, very, very negative about life in general. So through that, we separately and then together have learned a lot of things, and we have helped each other through different, very, trying times, because, pandemic, almost drove all of us to the brink of insanity. So to get through that and start this and be very, focused on it and, and still have a blast doing it, it's so much fun. And we just want to share that with the rest of you. You want to say something?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to ask you, and you sort of touched on it a bit when you were talking about the shared experiences and where you're coming from. I mean, what what is the origin of the podcast? Where does it come from? What compelled the two of you to decide to go on this journey together and then share it with others?
Well, so I kind of serve as the wing lady where I met Jahari through a client who happens to be one of Jahari's dearest friends. And as soon as we met, we were like, she already was kind of in my mindset and I was in hers, and we both were just kind of really clear about, okay, this is who I am. How can we help one another? But we did it in a way that it wasn't like, let's fix each other. It was more like, okay, how are we going to get through this next phase? I actually was just getting married for the second time, and like Jahari just kept seeing the changes in me where I was like losing weight and just like under this pressure cooker. And she was just like, okay, Sarah, here we go. This is what we're going to do. And from that moment on, I knew that it wasn't a mentorship thing. This was like a sisterhood slash like soul family level of connection that is rare, and when you do find it, it just seems very organic. I hate using that word in this way, but it's true. But we also, so a couple of fun facts, we've both been married twice. Okay. We both had first marriages that did not end well, but we don't want to give it away.
Okay.
Listen to the podcast. But what's unique, and we kind of touched into this originally, was that yes, we are two different generations. I know Jahari looks like she's 30 and I look like I'm 15. But that's what makes us so relatable, because we do kind of glide from generation to generation without kind of having a naivety about it, or naivety.
I think the first one's right, but we're going to accept it on the podcast.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah. And that when you really look into someone's eyes, you see it. You're like, oh, we get it. And I realize we're being quite vague, but that's part of the mystery.
Well, actually, I don't know if you're being that vague. I was very struck by, no, really, because I was very struck by something you just said that I think kind of speaks to the appeal maybe of your podcast, and I'd love to hear you say more about it, is that, obviously there's a lot of different podcasts out there that, have the idea of self-empowerment, and they'll help empower you, the listener, and perhaps they have one qualification or another. I was very struck by what you just said, Sarah, about how, I forget how you worded it. You said something like, we know who we are, or you both know exactly who you are. And I think that, and I kind of get the feeling, and please tell me if I'm wrong or if you can expand on it, that maybe that's where a lot of what the appeal of your podcast comes from. It's like, these are two people that, hey, really do understand what they are and want to use that to maybe help someone else who maybe isn't in that same position.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, because if you know who you are, you're more grounded, and there's less questioning, but more about the curiosity of life, but not about whether or not you're doing the right thing or whether you're expanding or growing. It's it's something that kind of happens.
I tend to say, and I've said this to my children, like, I don't compete or compare. Like, I'm only competing with myself. To be myself. Like, who I was today, I can be better tomorrow. So it's not like, oh, I'm competing with her or him or them. I'm not, so some people say like, oh, wow, you're so concerned about it. Yeah, I'm trying to be better. I want to be a better person, for me, I want to look at my own growth throughout my life and say, wow, you've done so much better for you, not depending on what other people think about it, what I think about it. And that is a part of being grounded. That is a part of loving and knowing yourself, which is very hard. Some people go through their entire lives not really wanting to believe who they really are, or trying to always hide who they really are. I let my crazy out, I sometimes I'm crazy, sometimes I'm subdued, sometimes I'm so smart, I scare myself.
And she's very humble.
I'm not saying that. I'm just a guest here, but I mean,
just say the truth. Just say the truth.
Okay, no.
Sometimes I say, God, I'm smart. I just wish I knew I was this smart.
Yeah.
Saying all that is just, I tend to everywhere. Sarah and I tend to everywhere gather people who they gravitate to us. And we've noticed that that's a thing, and that's not in a bragging way. I think it's just the energy that we produce when we're together. It's so very positive and happy. So people tend to want to be like, hey, what are you guys laughing at? What's so funny? Oh, or you guys are having such a good time. Yeah, because I love this life that I have. I love the life that I've been given and the life that I've built. So, I feel like that's something that should be shared, not just about like, hey, look at me, but like, I didn't always feel like this. I think that these things that I say right now, it was a process. It was a process, and I had to work through it and get to this place where I'm like, hey, life is great. It's great. But it is a process. And, Sarah and I have been through that process together and separately. So we just want to share it because we want more people to feel that light and happiness on the inside. There's a lot of people who are feeling like they're alone and like there's no one they can talk to or no one understands. And maybe I don't understand completely, but I will be here to give you something that might make you feel like, you know what, hey, I can do this. I can get through this. I can, be better. You can. You absolutely can. I have a deep belief and like a, go get 'em attitude about everybody. Like, you can do it. So I think I think that it's time for me to share that. And I think that also Sarah had, it's time for us to share this happiness and light with other people.
You answered so many questions. I was thinking of asking them as they came up. Like I was going to ask what exactly Sarah meant by the word grounded in this context. Yet it kind of came through in what you said, Johari, about how it's like, you're not saying, hey, look at me where I am right now. You're rather saying, look at how far I've come and how you can take this into your own life. This is what you can get from there, as it's and it's now that's something you're looking to share with the people. No, that is great. I mean, that's, and I think that shows what's so great about your podcast is that there's a purpose behind it. It's not just we're doing a podcast to have a podcast. We're not just doing a podcast to get ourselves out there or branding, stuff like that. You have a real core thing inside this podcast.
We just want to circle people back to, the name, free of fear, full of joy. It is being free of the things that keep you from being joyful, being free of in your communication, being free in your decisions, being fearless and decisive in what you do and put forward in this world that brings you joy. So we want people to keep remembering that. Like, what's your free of fear, full of joy moment? Tell us. We'd like to hear it. We want to know. Tell me the moment that you realized you weren't afraid anymore and you were going to be happy. So we incorporate that into the podcast because you just want people to keep circling back, like, free of fear, full of joy. Say it louder.
No, I'm glad you said that. I mean, you are unique for this podcast that I do here with Website Depot, because so often the people I have come in here, run a traditional business. They're selling you a product or they're trying to sell you something. And, so often I'll ask them during the podcast, I'll be like, hey, if you're giving advice, you're selling a product, or, if everyone that's from, landscaping to software, I'll be like, what's something that, when a listener finishes listening to this podcast, they could do right now to improve their company, improve their business, improve whatever they do. And I realized you're the perfect people to ask about that. What's something that someone can do to feel better or to improve their lives from the moment they turn this, moment this podcast ends for them?
Oh, you got it.
Joy is free.
I mean, that is a simple idea. I mean, if you could hang on to that, you probably would be happy throughout the day.
And we are going to make a lot. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. But the combination, I mean, this is it. We don't want people to get the wrong idea about this like blind optimism, because it's no way blind. It's very clear, you know, and like, that when you've seen things in this world, that it makes you appreciate and look at things very differently. And that's when you can really see, like right now we're looking out a window that has like beautiful trees and the sky is like this light pale blue, but that in that moment is priceless. We're never going to be sitting here talking with you in this very moment. And like, and while right before we started, there was a bunch of landscapers going back and forth. Like, no! We were scurrying. It was all very like stressful. Now it's calm. Yeah. But there's nothing more beautiful than just taking a deep breath and just breathing everything in that you're in your surroundings. And that's free.
True.
That is very free.
I'd like to add to that and say that when I created this mantra, it was 4 different mantras. And to start my day, which was pure chaos, and this was about, this was several years ago, I would repeat these mantras about my communication and my fearlessness and trying to find joy, and then combined it all into free of fear, full of joy. And that is the one thing that I would say to people. A lot of people will say, like, I can't quiet my mind. I can't, there's too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
At 5 a.m, everybody's still asleep. If you're not headed to work, you can take 10 minutes and sit cross-legged on the floor, or sit outside with your coffee and say nothing for 5-10 minutes, and stay in your head and calm yourself and say, I can get through this day at work. I can get through this day with these kids. I can get through this day as a caregiver. I can get through this day in this, marriage, in this trauma, in this whatever, with goals in mind to move past it. And I did that every day until I got past it. So that's the advice that I would give to people that they could take today. Like, quiet your mind, find your space, if it's early in the morning or if it's late at night, and tell yourself, I am going to master this, and I am going to get past it, and I'm going to move into something else. And that is what keeps you moving forward, keeps you positive, and keeps you, because you have something to look forward to. You have something, a goal. Don't be like, I'm going to be stuck like this forever. You're not. You're not going to be stuck like this forever. Everything changes. It changes faster if you put a little more focus into making changes, right? Change is a scary thing. I know, but embrace it. Embrace it, because you never know what wonderful life you could have if you just embrace change and quiet your mind and focus on what it is that you really want to make you feel the joy of this life.
It's got to be the best answer I've ever gotten to that question. It just has to be. I mean, no, but in all seriousness, I mean, it's because there was so much great in what the two of you said. The one part of it I was struck by was just how not time consuming that is. I mean, the lengthiest thing you said, Jahari, is what, 10 minutes at most. I mean, that's 10 minutes. We've already gone well beyond that just in this podcast already, gentle listener or viewer, if you've watched it to this point. That's literally all it takes to just, or even just, as Sarah said, that deep breath, which doesn't take 10 minutes. It is going to feel like it went much longer than it did if you do take that deep breath. That's all just wonderful advice. I want to ask, at the risk of giving too much away, which I certainly don't want you to do, are there any particular topics in future podcasts that you're going to cover, or that you'd want to cover, just in very broad strokes? I don't want you to give anything away, but certainly.
Yeah. Where's the note? It's so far away.
Yeah, we're not even gonna go get it. I don't know. It's
we're covering everything.
We have so many things that we want to talk about, because inclusivity is a big thing, you know. Cancel culture is a huge thing. We're not really, into that. There's, just in general, what's going on, and nothing political. We really aren't trying to get into anything political.
We're trying to unite.
We're just trying to unite, calm some of the chaos while you talk to us, while you listen to us. And there's so much going on that's chaotic. We just want to calm that down, and just like I said, strong opinions but good intentions. Like, hey, this is how I feel about this.
Yeah,
I see your point. And
relatable subjects.
Yeah.
So marriage, no kids, being dog parents, no dog parents.
Caring for aging parents.
Caring for aging parents.
Stepchildren.
Step grandkids.
Going back out into the workplace after decades out. All those kinds of things. Being an empty nester, or being involved in your community. Which Sarah and I both, Sarah more than me, I just back her up on it. Being involved in your community, or things just as random as like why is it that we can't get good Wi-Fi here?
We haven't discussed that one further. But specific women style tips, because Jahari is just a wealth of information because of her fashion background. And she also is a very do-it-yourself kind of lady, and that's where we kind of met in the middle, because I am too a very do-it-yourself kind of lady. And
we're definitely crafty.
We're very crafty, and there's intention behind a lot of our creativity, so it's not just like free for all. But and then other relatable subjects that maybe men might be interested in are booty workouts. I don't know. It just came out.
I mean, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm nodding along.
But to give insight on not just the women are complicated, but are we?
Oh, absolutely.
No, I mean, it's also very simple. Like, what we're saying with this.
No, they don't.
No. Okay.
They don't.
And the translation that happens with that.
That's what we should do. We should have a face translator.
Yeah.
If your wife is looking like this. What does that mean?
Run away. That's where she needs her quiet time.
The bottle of wine and a cupcake and run.
This is also, did you not refill the toilet paper? Did you not?
There's so many things. Like we got prospective podcasts that we want to talk about, and there's so many things. And sometimes Sarah and I get in the studio and I'm on fire about something that's happened, and the whole thing goes out the window, and because I want to talk about this.
And then we go through another window to go back into the same house.
Right. All around Mary's house.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are things like that. I want to share and convey that, I might look all put together all the time, but I'm not always that way. And that's okay. That's okay. I think there's a lot of, social media culture about everybody is so perfect, and everybody is so got their everything together, and everybody's got their car and their house. And not everybody does. And it's okay. It's okay to be 22 and live at your parents' house. It's okay. You don't have to be a mogul. All right. Like if you got goals and you got a Toyota Corolla or Camry that's working great, you're winning. Okay. You're winning. Like, don't go into debt because your homeboy is, pretending, or what do they say? Capping on Instagram.
You're better with the lingo. Than
Well,
me.
because I'm around that.
But we both firmly believe who we are is who we show on social media. That there's not really a facade.
We don't put
that's exhausting. Nobody has time for that.
Everything is authentic. There's no like trying to elevate to seem like we're not or that we are something. It is, we're filming in my house. It's not, we didn't go rent a studio and hire makeup artists. This is this is
for the photo shoot we did.
That's okay. But that's more authentic. It'd be less authentic if you didn't do that for the photo shoot. That makes sense. That's all right. Yeah.
Be telling everybody everything.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, keep that to yourself. Anyway, we just are and want to continue to be authentic as well as we can convey to our audience, Hopefully they appreciate it and like it and spread the word and send more people to come listen to us and talk to us and send us some questions or ask us to talk about something or get our opinion about something. We'd love to be nosy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Send us something.
We are yes.
We'd love to talk.
We love to talk and we are professional at it.
Yeah.
So we can talk about anything under the sun. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
I think that was a thorough and wonderful answer to my question. I mean, I asked what can people look forward to week after week, and you laid it out very clearly. I mean, well, it's, you don't go in with a set topic, but you always go in with the idea of true authenticity, what you're really thinking, what you're really feeling, what you really believe, who you really are, and you do so in a calming way that people can connect to and take something from. I think that shows exactly what every episode's going to be. Well, I mean, I got to ask. I mean, this is always my favorite question that I ask of anyone that I have on the podcast here is that those are all the questions I had. What do you want to tell people that I didn't ask about? What else do you want to say?
What do you want people to know? Okay, we want people to know that we're doing this from love, with love, for ourselves and for everyone else. We just want to express and give everybody a big heart. Love. Be fearful of joy.
And we're here to help, but we are not professional psychologists or counselors.
I've been to quite a few therapists, but I'm not.
Yeah. No, this is all experiential advice or not advice.
Yeah.
This is where I'm a public servant. Where I can answer, but not at the same time. But just full circle, we really do want to help people. And I remember we were at a restaurant. This was, was it before the pandemic?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we were having one of our first planning meetings because we were like, what is this free of fearful of joy? And we were kind of hashing it out on the business side. We want to have a website that has a bunch of resources so that women can look up the best divorce lawyers, the best counselors, all of this kind of but then we were like, this is getting a little First Wives clubby. Yeah. And it wasn't the intention to cause any continued animosity. It was more just to get information out there, whether or not people take it or leave it. But at the end of the day, we are always selfless and we always want to just help people. So just going back to what Jahari was saying, if someone has a question and they just want to get kind of a completely outside perspective, that's not professional, but a professional friend, we're your gals.
Yeah, basically. I think that Sarah and I both get questions from people randomly. I was in the nail shop the other day and this woman just started telling me about her tribulations with her daughter and stuff. And the only thing I said to her was like, why are you being so nice? Your daughter isn't being nice to you. Respectfully, you can not be as nice back, as accommodating, and you can just let her know it's not okay how you treat me. And it's like a light bulb went off in her head. She didn't realize that she could just say no to her daughter. You can say no to her. It's okay. She's not going to love you any less. She might be for a little bit, but clear boundaries. She was so excited. I mean, we exchanged information, and but it was just like a quick interaction, and I don't want anything from it. I don't want anything from it. I just wanted to let her know, like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, you don't have to be completely selfless all the time. You can set boundaries. You can say no to your loved ones and still let them know I love you, but I just can't do this for you right now. That's something I think we all struggle with. I struggled with that for a long time also. But again, with love.
You need a little.
But we're so very excited about the podcast. We are, lined up and ready to go. We're so excited to be working with you and Website Depot. You guys are our partner in this, and we are very excited. We'd really like to thank you and the team, Alejandra, Michaela, and of course, Danny and Robert. Love you.
And Greg, you're not so bad yourself.
That's all right. I appreciate that. I'm just trying to get out of the way. I'm trying to let you two just go off. This is great. I'm just trying not to get in your path. Well, thank you so much for coming on with us today. That was great. That was great. I got a lot out of it just sitting here. I'm gonna try this deep breath thing as soon as I log off.
Oh, crazy! Let's do it together.
Thank you, Greg. This has been a wonderful interview.
We do need to say the mantra though 3 times together.
Oh, we do. Oh, we do. Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Call my acting classes here. Ready? Okay.
Okay. Ready? Free of fear, full of joy. Free of fear, full of joy. Free of fear, full of joy.
I didn't realize it was going to be escalating. I'm sitting there like trying to nod along with it. Like, okay, all right, now I got it. You had to watch you do it for a while before I finally figured out how to chant. But yeah. Okay.
The audio guy's like, can we get that separately recorded? And then
it can take me out of that. Just like overdub your voices over mine. Hopefully that's
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today. On behalf of Website Depot, my name's Greg Benevent. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Hi, Greg.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.